It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
And what's her face?
Yeah. Well, I almost
Just her,
I was going to make a comment about her having new headphones, but I decided not to. But I did now.
You sure did.
Mm-hmm.
It drew it out of you.
Mm-hmm.
New and improved headphones.
Woo.
So, how are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Audible.
I'm with my same headphones.
Yeah. Rub it in.
And they sound great, Les.
Yeah. I hope everybody's doing okay out there. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy? We kind of already have some idea with Liz, but go ahead.
Oh, you never know with Liz,
You sure as hell don't.
Keep you on your toes.
Oh.
I'm actually really proud to say I've had a very boring week.
Yay.
Yay!
The first time for everything.
Right? It's kind of like you keep walking around jumping at everything because it's like, what's going to go wrong? What's wrong?
I think you'd learn by now you don't ask that question.
Right.
Because you will invariably find out.
Yeah, I had to, I guess, unplug for a little while. Was
that the problem with headphones?
Is that what we call it?
They were unplugged.
Are you sure you have the computer on?
We all knew the computer was on. I was on the call. I was there.
Yeah.
Y'all just couldn't hear all the shaking the fist and little comments.
All the bad words. So many bad words.
Oh, man.
I could have imagined several that are just horrible.
Yeah.
Never heard before.
Absolutely. Inventing
Well, then
new
we
ones
get
over
all
here.
done, and Phil goes, I thought you said you fixed your computer. And I said, I did, but it was the headphones. And he kind of looks at me, and he said, no, I thought you fixed your computer. And it was like, holy shit, I did. I fixed my computer. Why the hell was I even on the laptop to begin with?
Not sure I would have admitted that in public, Liz.
Right. It was like, oh. But that's the kind of week I was having, So.
Wow.
But yeah, like I said, I've just kind of. I don't want to say doing me because that sounds kind of. Wow.
Oh, wow. That's not where I was going with that.
I just, keeping my head down, going with the flow, I think a few weeks back, Thomas had, we posted a clip of David Spade and William Shatner, and it was like, wait a minute, what the hell is that? I didn't know that they even played together. So I've been watching
Boston Legal.
Thank you. I was like, what the hell is their name?
Oh, James Spader. Okay.
James Spader.
That makes a lot more sense than David Spade.
David Spade, yeah. You can tell where my mind is.
Uh-huh.
So I'm keeping on. But yeah, that's been pretty cool. I'm to the point now, there's the episode, it was William Shatner, who in here, he's Denny Crane, but it was his first case ever. and the guy's dad was found guilty of murder. So he came in with a bomb strapped to his chest because he said he did these little smoke and mirrors to make the guy, get off for killing and everything. So it was kind of cool, though, because they showed William Shatner when he was maybe, God, I'm going to say like 20, where I guess this was a movie that he did when he was a lawyer, because it was like black and white that they were referencing back to. But it was kind of cool the way that they pulled that movie into this story, and it kind of all showed the consequences to, I guess, what would have happened in that movie years later. So, yeah. But anyways, it was pretty cool.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah. The dad, I think in that one was supposed to be his dad in this show too. So like I said, it was pretty cool because the stories mixed and the little speeches he gave and stuff were in the same. But yeah, I did not know them two played together, and they're like the perfect best friends. That's kind of why it got me into it, was their little drama story. The rest of it's pretty cool too, but they've got a unique friendship. They're flamingos. But yeah, other than that, I've just kind of been keeping to myself and watching sci-fi shows.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched a fun documentary this week, or last week, or whenever it was, recently. It was called American Grindhouse. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this before. It is on Tubi, is where I found it. And it is kind of an interesting overview of essentially they make a point of making a distinction between grindhouse and exploitation, and then they manage to talk about both of them pretty much mostly equally. So there's some references to a lot of interesting movies, to say the least. I mean, not necessarily what you would think of as like exploitation movies. Like one example was one movie that got referenced was Creature from the Black Lagoon. Another one was Psycho. I mean, imagine in your little minds the conversation that compares Psycho with grindhouse movies and exploitation. It's interesting, to say the least. And of course, later on you get into stuff that's just, and part of where they went with that was that it just got ripped off so much, and they talk about movies like Jaws the same way. But it's really interesting, and they had some interesting guests in this documentary, including a lot of the directors from a lot of the really wild exploitation movies in like the 60s and 70s. So that was fun. Getting to hear them sort of explain what they were doing and thinking at the time, that was a hoot in some cases. That was a hoot. Because it's really, I mean, kind of what you would expect in a way. For the most part, I was doing it for the money. That's a very common theme in the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they start with movies. The earliest movie that they talk about is The Great Train Robbery from 1903. And they run it, this documentary came out in 2010, so they run it straight up to 2010. So it's just a lot of wild and varied stuff in there, and it's really interesting to kind of hear some of kind of to see a comparison of such different movies and such different what you would think of as styles, but actually end up being mostly the same thing. So it's kind of cool. I liked it.
You said grindhouse, and I thought you were going to talk about skateboarding for a second.
I wouldn't know enough about skateboarding to fill a grindhouse, so, you know. not my thing. I've never really had that great a
Cool.
sense of balance. So
Yeah,
Skate-
surprisingly, I'm not very graceful, but I could skateboard. So
skateboarding kind of became a thing. Just I was a little too old for it when it kind of became a thing. It was kids that were younger than me doing it, which not surprisingly. I mean,
yeah,
you're a little younger than me, but yeah, wasn't a thing for my kind of group of friends. Then again, most of us were in the same boat with not being terribly graceful.
Mm-hmm. Can confirm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. See, I didn't get along with girls too well. I've always been girly but tomboy. So girls are more worried about hair and makeup, and I'm like, meh. I don't care. Why doesn't he like you? Because you whine all the time.
You mean they didn't want to hang out with you after that? I mean, come on.
Right, So I had to find a new set of friends. So, yeah, that's how I got into it. I'd rather be doing what the guys were doing than dolling up.
They were probably listening to better music anyway.
Oh, hell yeah, they were.
That's an important part of the whole thing, really.
It is. It, in its own, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when Metallica actually rocked.
That's been a while. Jeez.
Oh, it has. Since what? Second half of the Black Album? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Pre-muted by Twitch,
Right. That was hilarious.
Oh, I loved it.
I would have loved to have seen that. I mean, I did, but I would have loved to have seen it.
When it actually was happening, that would have been great.
I would have been like, oh, yeah, big improvement.
Have you guys seen this? Mike and Les?
No.
Nope.
What happened is they were invited. What convention was this, Liz? Do you remember?
Was it WizCon?
Or WizCon or something like that. Anyway, so they were performing, and it was being streamed simultaneously on Twitch. And of course, Twitch has been kind of really big about the DMCA, and they strike. They'll mute certain video clips and videos if they're playing music that these bots are going, okay, this is copyright material, you can't play this. So here they are playing, Metallica's playing their music, and of course they're the ones that kind of started this whole thing back with Napster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here they are, they're playing, and at some point the music gets changed to something just completely different.
It was like polka music.
Some of it was polka, some of it sounded like kind of like fairy dance music for a video game or something.
Yeah.
And here they are just, they're
jamming
rocking out,
away.
and it does, yeah. And the music obviously doesn't match the video. And it's hilarious. And of course, the social media just blew up with it and just laughing at them.
There is an irony there, I have to say.
Yes.
There is. They're the one who started all of this,
Yes.
And to me, that was like when Metallica was finally like, fuck you to the fans. They had been heading that way for a while, but, with Napster deal with Lars and then Hetfield cutting his hair, that was the final on you guys. We found this other set of people over here who, they have more money because they're yuppies and they like it too. So we're going to play this little bebop music now.
Damn.
I mean, am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but damn.
Yeah.
But I hate to get on my soapbox, but
No, you don't. Right.
bands like Metallica used to have a statement. And I mean, nowadays, I guess they don't. Like Britney Spears and all of them, They have a thought in their heads, cool, but they don't really have a statement behind what they're doing. When you have a band like Metallica who is like, you guys have made us what we are. We're never going to sell out. We're never going to do videos. We're never going to, we're not going to hit market. And then they do. And there's no, oh, I'm sorry, guys, or anything. But not only do they sell out, they change. You have bands like Fugazi who will never be big time, break through the mainstream or anything else because they refuse to bow down and change their morals. They have a statement behind their music, and that statement won't change no matter how much money you throw at us, So I respect people like that and will throw my money at them more than I will this band who's totally screwed their fans over, sued their fans because they needed another jet. I mean, come on, you've taken enough from us anyways. Now, do I agree with pirating music? No, I don't. I know a lot of good musicians that, you should be paid for what you do. But when lawsuits were slapped down, there was no warnings. There was nothing. It was, here you go, we're suing you for, I think the first one was like $10 million. So it was like, come on. We listen to Metallica. You think we have $10 million? So that's for me when they were finally like, you've totally lost faith and touch with your fan base. Bands like Fugazi were encouraging you to download their stuff. They'd rather you hear their message than to make that buck off of it, Because if you hear it, you might share it, and then they might go buy it, and, that's the kind. Trent Reznor, last album he did, he put it out there. He wanted people to download it. He wanted people to sample it, to change it, to make music with it. He wanted you to do that. So he wanted you to pirate, I don't know if it's pirating if you have permission from the artist, but that's the outlets that he went through. And it was one of his most successful albums. So it's kind of like, sometimes you just got to know who your fans are and give them a break. Of course I'm going to illegally download a $1 song when you're charging me $200 to go see you live. But yeah, I just think that they totally took their message, wiped their butt on it, was like, took that whole fan base and threw it out with a napkin,
They started believing their own hype.
Yeah.
They started believing what everybody started telling them. And because the deal was, for all of what you're saying, ultimately the whole idea is they really just want to be loved.
Yeah.
And
Metallica, grungy, I killed your mama today. Wanted to be
right. A band who a major part of their whole image was fuck 'em all and fucking no regrets.
Yeah. There is a song called Fuck,
Yeah, and that's. But the deal is that once they started getting somewhere, once they started getting something, people start saying, "Oh, you're great, you're awesome. What are you going to do now?" And they start believing that you're great, you're awesome, and decide they can do whatever the fuck they want.
And we can't play "I Killed Your Baby" on the radio. We can only play. I don't know what the shit's called today.
Well, Enter Sandman got played quite a bit on the radio.
Yeah, and that was actually the beginning of, I think, with One and Enter Sandman was, as much as I like the song One, that was the beginning of Metallica selling out, especially when they did the video, because they wanted fans to understand the song. Dude, am I a fucking moron? I need pictures to understand what the hell you're saying. To me that was.
That's when you're taking the message too far.
Right.
You're not. That's not a message anymore. That's a story, and that's different.
Yeah. Yep.
And when your story becomes more important than any message, then that's when you've kind of lost yourself up your own ass.
Yep. And then you sell out to commercials, and damn, they were even on a Hot Wheels game. Metallica on a Hot Wheels game.
Yeah, well, there was enough zeros in that check to make it worthwhile.
See, and Phil threw at me. He was like, well, White Zombie was on the same game. Yes, But White Zombie never said they weren't going to do that. White Zombie never said that they wouldn't commercialize or sell their soul
Rob
for
Zombie
$1.
that's what Rob Zombie has been trying to do from day one.
Right. So it was not unexpected to see him on a video game.
Right.
But Metallica, who from the very beginning was like, we're with you guys to screw you guys, give me your money. And hey, if you like Metallica, that's cool. I at one time, they were my favorite band, and I still will listen to old Metallica. But like I said, second half of the Black Album and on, nah. There's better.
Mm-hmm.
Whole lot better.
It's true.
And surprisingly, it's come from Canada. I mean, that's kind of crazy,
All right now. Don't pick on the poor Canadians. Jeez.
No, I'm not, they got their shit more together than we do, right?
They're very sorry. So, just
that's not what I was talking about.
Wow, that devolved quick. I say that it's been coming for 10 whole minutes now, but anyway.
Yeah.
Not sure.
So that's my Metallica story.
Not sure how we got to Canada from there, but all right.
That's where they land their jet. One of them.
I guess. They have a runway long enough in Canada? I mean, geez.
No doubt.
Had to dodge the moose on the way down the runway.
With little Dudley Do Right.
Wow. Please save us, Les.
What you got?
Wow.
Let me guess, you don't like Metallica either.
I don't know who the hell is in Metallica. It was past me.
You see, you're blessed for not knowing.
By the sound of it, yes.
Yeah,
As long as you don't say which one's pink.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't impressed with them either. I found a program on Netflix called let me think now. The Indian Detective. It's a 4-part series. It's by the same creator as Monk. So there's humor in it. There is a pretty solid story. It's about a man from Canada. There we swing back by.
All right.
And he is put on probation. He's off duty for a month for what he had done on one of the situations. So he went back to India to be with his father, and there he has found a mystery. So it's fun. Each episode is about 40 minutes long, so you fly through it pretty fast. And I've come to enjoy it. It's good, solid fun. If you're a fan of Monk, then this is kind of what you would like to see again. And I also found a movie about grindhouse movies, but this one was by Troma.
Cool.
And it is 2.5 hours or more of nothing but film clips. The majority of the film clips are made up, and it just goes on. I had to stop and take a rest break because it was so in your face the whole time. Then I saw that they have made at least 5 of these movies.
Oh, Lord.
Exactly. So I'll try to get through them. It's going to be like the MST3K gauntlet, but I'll try to fight through it.
Yeah, take your time, take breaks.
Yeah.
What are these things called?
Offhand, I don't recall. Let me see if I can look up trauma.
Not that I'm going to jump into them real quick or anything.
Yeah.
I want the full report first.
I can understand why.
Well, especially after watching the documentary you just watched, Mikey, so I understand that. Kind of take a little bit of a break.
Now, I could be wrong on this, so I'm not trying to start anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when
Too late.
when James Gunn got into all of his trouble for some of the comments that he made and stuff, people said that they understood that he made comments like that because he made movies for Troma. Is this the same stuff?
Troma's the same entity. It's the same production outfit. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
they're just
how much of
kinda...
James Gunn's stuff is in the thing that Les is talking about, who knows? But
yeah.
yeah.
See, there was one other guy that said that he was the guy who got in trouble because of what he did with a baby doll. I forget who he was, though, but that was...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not ringing any bells, but
Yeah.
But watch a couple of Troma movies and you'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, because James Gunn got his break from Troma. He and is it Lloyd Kaufman?
Yeah.
They co-wrote Tromeo and Juliet. That was James Gunn's first involvement in Hollywood. He co-wrote that script. So, matter of fact, James Gunn tries to work some sort of cameo for Kaufman in a lot of his movies. He's got one in the upcoming Suicide Squad. So, yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say grindsploitation.
Cool.
2016.
Okay.
I looked it up under Lloyd Kaufman. Grindsploitation. And then you've got Exploitation 2, The Lost Reels.
Not lost enough, apparently.
No. 3 is Video Nasty. 4 is Meltsploitation. 5, I don't see 5 listed, but they do have Grindsploitation 666. So, if you have a strong heart and don't drink the large soda, you'll be okay.
Once you got a pause button, who cares about the large soda?
Damn, I wasn't thinking about that.
It's not like watching Titanic in the movie theater, you know.
Oh, Lord.
Damn, that was brutal.
That was.
I had no idea how evil James Cameron was until that boat started to sink at the 2-hour mark. Like, man, I had to pee.
You have to pee, and it's all this water.
And the water starts, oh my God, on the big movie screen, the water is just flowing and just sound from everywhere. And you're like, I'm out of here.
I think there's
Tell me what happened.
I think there's a law about cruel and unusual punishment.
I know, that shit violated the Geneva Convention all up and down, man. Not right. I both hate him and love him for that.
So anything else there, Les?
Nope, that's it for me.
That's probably
Try
enough.
to stay away from bands.
I hate to say it because it seems like I say this a lot real recently. I don't really have much to talk about. I've been working on stuff for the show and for Discord. I've got some reading material coming in. I'm excited about that. I'll give a little bit more explanation on that next week when I start reading. But I just don't really have a whole heck of a lot this time.
Clearly, you're not watching enough terrible movies.
Yeah, I guess I need to. Yeah, if anything, I've been, I've talked in the past about being on Vaughn, so I've been kind of actually, if anything, I've been switching between Star Trek original series and Three Stooges. So, I mean, yeah, kind of a weird combination.
That'll
but,
do things to your brain. Believe me, I've been there.
Yeah. So, but that's pretty much it. So, since I already mentioned it, we do have a Discord. It's been kind of up and going for about a year now. It's open for everybody to come join. We post a lot of news items and then some funny memes, posting some music. I don't know if you saw, Mike, but I posted something last night with your attention. Figure you want to check that out.
I will.
It's funny because it's a soundtrack from a movie. I can't remember what the name of the movie is on the top of my head, but it's in the group of musicians includes Donald Fagen and Walter Becker, and this is pre-Steely Dan. But you start the first song, you go like, this sounds like Steely Dan.
I listened to about a minute and a half of it late last night because I saw it, and I was like, okay, I need time to sit down and listen to this because this is interesting. But yeah, it's its sound right at the beginning. You're like, oh man, that is totally Donald Fagen playing piano. Totally.
Yeah. So, and we usually have monthly activities. This month we're doing movie Easter eggs, and everybody seems to be enjoying that. And then, of course, we do a little virtual meet and gab. And our one for April have already come and gone by this point, but it's usually the third Saturday a month. So,
well, we'd have mentioned it last week, but
Well, yeah.
I know. Who was that? That sucked.
No pointing any fingers here. Liz.
Yeah.
No, you can't help it. Something was broke.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things. So, if you like to join, Discord sign up is free. The app is free. We have an invite on our homepage of the website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. And come join the fun. Alrighty. We are starting a stretch. This was supposed to be, well, it's still a month. It's not exactly perfect.
Yeah,
right. We're not starting at the first of the month, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But we are doing a month of sci-fi films, kind of a look back, as most of these, all of these are celebrating a particular anniversary. And the first one we're talking about tonight is actually celebrating its 60th anniversary. And
70th.
70th. Okay, sorry. 70th, that's right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's fine. It is the day the Earth stood still. Who'd like to go start us off with their thoughts on this film?
I thought that, honestly, even though
if you watch The Blob, I swear... No, I'm kidding.
Although it was in 1951, I still think to this day this is the way that we would treat aliens, and this is why they don't come visit us. He told them numerous times I'd come in peace, and what? They shot him once, killed him once. I mean, yeah. And it was kind of a good point. Everybody's peaceful, but you guys, get your shit together.
Yep.
And here we are, 2021, and we still don't have our shit together. So.
Yeah, the premise is we're receive a visitor from another planet who's come basically in peace, but kind of warn us about our dabbing with
Nuclear.
nuclear experimentation and weapons, and that the rest of the galaxy kind of sees as a threat because of that. So,
And
yeah,
none of the other galaxies have any problems like that. We're like the problem child planet.
Go figure.
We'd be the planet you lock the doors when you drive by. But yeah, and they still wouldn't listen, you know. Military still saw them as a threat. Robot was pretty cool. And, I mean, all in all, for this to be as old as it was, I thought the effects were pretty good for that time, and people are a lot more trusting with their kids back then.
Oh, dang.
well, it was 51, so
Yeah.
come on.
Here, little Tommy, go off with strange alien guy.
Yeah, but they didn't.
While I go out with my
They didn't-
boyfriend. Yeah, because they didn't know him.
I had
You don't
literally
meet your
moved
kid
into
to
the
someone
boarding
you don't
house
know.
last night. Literally
Right.
moved into the boarding house the night before. Yeah,
And it creeped him out when he did. So,
right.
yeah, let me leave my kid with you. And then she didn't even flinch when he was like, "Oh, I took him to see Dad." Who was in a grave? I mean, isn't that a little weird and a little too personal to be sharing with somebody you just met?
Well, that wasn't his choice. The kid wanted to go.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I
guess
like
so.
the kid. The kid
Yeah,
was,
he switched allegiances pretty quick, though.
well, yeah, but he was. I mean, he's the only one. I mean, and no shock at all that Hollywood would do this. The kid is the only one who kind of sees what's really happening, and
Yeah.
of course, nobody believes him
Because he's a kid.
because he's a kid and he
Yeah.
doesn't know anything. Well, he friggin' saw it with his own eyes. What do you think? I mean, does this kid have a history of lying? Come on. Sorry, I slipped into parent mode a
Kind of
little bit.
sounded like he did, or sleepwalking while he's, I don't know.
Right, really? Does he
Then he's like,
sleepwalk
"Oh,
around?
my shoes are wet," and she's like, "Dun dun dun." Oh my God, he's telling the truth.
Right. That was a brilliant.
I mean, they didn't think
Script
he was
move.
telling the truth when he pulled diamonds out of his pocket. I mean, hello.
Yeah. Oh, your shoes are wet. Yeah, the grass was wet when I went out. Yeah, all of what I just told you. It all fits.
It all
Duh.
fit.
I'll give the mom credit. I thought her character was probably the most interesting one in the story. Because she's the one in what for 1951 was kind of a terrible situation. I mean, a war widow with a kid,
Yeah, with kids.
having to work to raise to feed the kid and all that, and so she's kind of socially speaking in a bad spot. I mean, she's clearly doing all right for herself. Don't get me wrong, but I mean,
Yeah.
in 1951. I mean, she would have been pretty much just shunned as damaged goods. But she's kind of got a boyfriend. I mean, he's a dick, and we figured that out later. But and
No, we figured that out pretty quick when he wouldn't take the kid on a date.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, she eventually. I mean, it takes her a little bit to figure it out to get to where she finally gets what's going on. But I mean, I thought she handled herself pretty well. I thought Patricia Neal did a really nice job with the character.
Yeah.
The best she could in that time frame for sure. I mean, it's hardly a progressive role, but I mean, it's as good as you're going to get in that time frame.
Right. And she did play an important role.
Yeah.
Without her, he would have died,
Yeah. Well, stayed dead or whatever. They didn't explain that, but
however that worked.
yeah, they didn't really. And it's better that they didn't explain it, but
Yeah.
there was also kind of a purpose with that too. But we'll get
Well,
there.
he kind of did, but. And she's like, "Well, how long will it make you stay alive?" And he's like, "I don't know, just I don't know. Does anyone know when they die? So it's kind of like, it's not a stupid question to ask. Did you just get a jump start and you're only going to be alive for a couple hours, or are we going to have grandkids?
Wow.
Yeah, see, that was another part that I thought was impressive, was that it didn't go there either.
Yeah, it didn't.
It totally didn't go there. I mean, it was, and yeah, I actually thought that was smart to not go there.
Yeah, it didn't play into the cliche.
Right. Funny that you mentioned cliches, because this movie spawned a bunch of them.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, this was the prototype. I mean, this was clearly not the first science fiction movie, but I mean, it's the one that got copied a lot.
Well, wasn't this the first robot on screen, or
Oh no.
wasn't there something
No.
like that, or no?
Yeah, no, it was a very popular. That was a very popular. It was very prominent in the advertising for it, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was a very, very popular robot character in a movie, but it was not the first.
Yeah.
It got, like I said, it got ripped off a lot because the movie did pretty well. I mean, for what normally was reserved for B-movie status, even freaking 20 years later, I mean, sci-fi movies were B-movies, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, even today, though, like I said, it makes you think,
mhm,
just about society in general and what he must have thought, like Arlington Memorial Cemetery, what he must have thought. Look at how many people died and they still don't get it,
mhm. Right. Why?
It's like, why do you keep running into that wall, Yeah, like I said, I liked it. It was interesting. I did watch this one twice. And I think, not to knock the film or anything, but I did kind of laugh when the robot, who's supposed to be made out of the strongest stuff ever, we don't know what it is, can't cut it, can't do anything, but then as he's walking up the ramp, you can see the crease in the back of his leg.
Oh yeah, it's clearly some sort of foam thing going there. Yeah, but it was the tech they had at the time.
Right. So it's cool. But yeah, things you notice second time around.
Mhm. Sure.
And those tanks, those hairpin turns they were making at the beginning, damn. I bet the Army today wants to know what technology that was.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, well, movie magic.
Right. No, I mean, all in all, I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Cool. I'm not sure it would have occurred to me to rate this movie, because this is a movie that for a long time was sold to me as one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. So I kind of at least tend not to try to put a number value on it. Not to say that I couldn't. I mean, I probably would rate it about there as well. It's far from perfect, but
Yeah.
and it's honestly, I kind of saw it because I've seen it several times over the years. I was probably a grown up when I saw it for the first time, but I've gone back to it a few times over the years. And for as kind of groundbreaking as it was, and as, like I said, as much as it has been copied, I'm not sure I would say it really ages all that well. I mean, you kind of have to watch it in okay, this was made in the 50s sort of mentality. If you can do that, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, you're going to be lost in this movie real fast, because a lot of some of that social stuff that I was talking about isn't going to hang anymore. Some of that stuff just doesn't make sense with the way the world works today. And so unless you can sort of categorize that in your head while you're watching it, it's gonna be really weird. That said, I do still think it is one of the classics.
To be 1951, the way she stood up to him there at the end, that was pretty uncommon,
Exactly. That is part of why I liked her as a character, was because she was clearly within that sort of social norm for the time, but she also was not taking any crap off of it either. She was not letting that control her life.
Yeah.
She was.
Well, she'd been there, done that, and I know what I want, so it ain't
Right.
you.
She knew what she needed.
Yeah.
And she was willing to walk away when she wasn't getting what she needed anymore.
Yeah.
And
because if he's acting like this now, what would it be like later?
Why would that be? Why would it change?
Yep.
Right.
Why is this, not to get too spoilery, why is this jackass so interested in having his name in the paper?
Yeah.
And
instead of what I think.
Right. Instead of actually looking at what's going on.
Because at that point, she's almost asking him a favor. Please don't tell. Wait. Not don't tell, but just wait before you do. And he couldn't even give her that. So I would have walked out of there too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not telling you no. I'm just telling you to wait. And got him killed. Yeah, well, not him, but the alien.
Mm-hmm. Because she decided to go try to save him.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. How badass is that?
Right.
That's badass in 2021.
She did.
Right. I mean, we'll overlook the fact that she actually kind of failed too, but she tried.
Yeah.
And she redeemed herself in the end by getting the robot to save him.
Uh-huh.
So.
She she followed orders, but they were really fucking weird orders. Here, memorize.
And then I like that. Let me save your life so your robot can kidnap me for a minute.
Right.
Yay!
And I mean, she was
Thank
freaked
you.
out by it all, but she kind of, she handled it okay. I mean,
Yeah.
she didn't just fall completely to pieces. I mean, she looked scared, sure.
Yeah, she was.
I thought that was a scene that I thought Patricia Neal just really shined in. I thought that was amazing. How she walked that line between scared shitless and like, okay, I have to do this.
This is for the greater good.
Yeah, I thought she did really well in that.
Yeah.
That was a big part of why I liked her so much in this movie.
And Aunt B was in this film.
Yes, she was for a couple of minutes there.
Yeah,
And she was
in her
obnoxious.
Aunt B character.
Oh, I don't know. I thought Aunt B was a lot nicer than that lady.
Yeah.
Well,
lot
Bud
nicer.
was in it. You talked about him.
Yeah.
No.
There was a bunch of
Huh?
there was a bunch of like cameo type things.
Oh yeah. Well, you had Sam Jaffe from what was the doctor show? Ben.
Oh, what was it?
Can't think of it.
Yeah, I know
But
what you're talking about, but yeah.
Sam Jaffe, and of course Billy Gray, and there was one other. And you talked about the boy being shoved off on Carpenter. The boyfriend just said, "Yeah, just let him take him." Really?
Sure.
What
Well, he
the-
had other things on his mind.
Yeah, but then later in the movie, he was going, "You've only known him for a month or whatever." He's going, "Yeah, but you started this, you dumb shit."
Yep.
Right. You were at that literally within 24 hours. You were the one pushing the kid off on him. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, he got jealous. It was different when his manhood came into question. He got jealous and didn't want another guy, kid hates me because I don't like him either. So now here's this guy who is hero and he wants to spend time with him.
Right. The kid ain't the one that he wanted something from.
Yeah.
That's the deal. So yeah, he was a charmer all the way through.
Yeah. And on this one, it was weird. I like to watch movies through Amazon because of the X-ray thing, and they didn't have that on this one. So that was kind of upsetting. I like reading that stuff. Some of it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Just have to exercise your Google foo and find the stuff.
Yeah,
Do your
which
own
I
research,
do, but
Liz.
but I pay for Prime for a reason, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Especially I could have watched it for free somewhere else,
Unless Ben Casey.
Ben Casey,
Thank you. Yeah, his co-star Vince, I can't even think of that now, but played Ben Casey, and that was all based on comic strip, I want to say.
Cool.
Well, you want to talk about cameos? You also have Guy Williams in it here too,
Mm-hmm.
as a radio operator.
Pre-Zorro, I believe, right?
Pre-Zorro, Lost in Space.
Oh, yeah.
All that.
Yep.
I like the film, and I made a valid comment about the fact that this is a Cold War film to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and that may be lost on some people nowadays because that's just kind of a little bit of an alien concept now. But
That's funny. Alien concept.
yeah,
Yeah, just remember there are people who were born after the Cold War ended who can now vote in this country. So
yeah,
it is something that people have started to forget.
yeah. But yeah, this is one of the films that actually made me a fan of Patricia Neal. She was in Harm's Way, and there's several other films right around that time frame that has made me a fan of her work. Definitely a great actress, and she did a really good job with the material here.
Yep, in what turns out to be kind of almost the central role in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Klaatu is an important part of it, but she's kind of his link to the rest of the world. Indirect. I mean, even if it's through the kid a lot. I mean, that's because of her. And then after a while, it becomes her exclusively.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an important role.
Yeah, a lot depends on what her character does or doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or can't do.
Or can't
in
do.
some cases, right?
Right.
This one I saw on television. Granted, it came out after I was born, but my parents didn't drag me to see this one because I was 1 year old at the time.
I was going to say, you didn't go straight from the hospital where you were born to watch this movie? Come on, man.
I'm shocked.
Take me to film.
Gort! Gort! His first word, Gort!
I saw this on NBC back in the early 60s, I guess it was. They had a Saturday night movie as part of their lineup. And I remember seeing this in my grandparents' kitchen when we were on vacation. And I was just blown away. I said, this is so great. And yes, it's a little dated, but that I can live with too. To me, it's a strong movie. The government and the military don't look like they're buffoons
No.
because they are trying to cope with this, and they've got the Russians to worry about at this time too. So to me, it took all of the aspects of the time and knit them together very well. I recommend this to everyone to see. You look at the thing from another world, and that too was based on the fear of communism. This is one that goes the same route, and it's because of that fear that things are not always handled equally. The leads were pretty strong. Even Hugh Marlowe was pretty strong. And we've seen him in dozens of monster movies and westerns. And to me, he's not necessarily a lead actor, but he's a damn good second banana. To me, he is somebody that really can pull stuff together. So yeah, I'm gonna say go see it. Don't stop listening to us to go see it, but go see it.
Right, go after we're done,
Right.
or at least come back after pause us and then go watch it and then come back,
Yeah,
Something.
please.
I want to go back on something that you just brought up that I hadn't really thought about. This is one of the rare films where the military and the government are not villains.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very interesting point. A lot of this happens just on an accident that was done out of fear. Yeah, you have the representative, which I can't remember his name right now, trying to talk to the rest of the nations to where Klaatu could talk to them about, hey, y'all need to watch this and what y'all are doing. There's going to be a problem. It's that's a very interesting point. I hadn't thought about that until now. Really, the only one you could consider somewhat villainous is Hugh Marlowe's character, and he's not really a villain. He's more of a selfish. He's wanting to do what's going to best interest him. Yeah. than anything else.
Right, and honestly, as much as we hate Tom in the movie,
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, in the movie, I definitely had to make that distinction. We hate him because Hugh Marlowe did such a good job of playing the smarmy jackass. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if he hadn't have done the job that he did, we wouldn't hate this guy as much. He would just be a jackass. But no, he's just a selfish, and it's more than just a selfish. I mean, he's consistent all the way through, and he's just so much just a
douchebag.
Right, he's just a douchebag, and I mean, it takes some skill to play a douchebag that well.
It does. Yep.
I mean, you
you
don't
can get
just
anybody to believe what you're acting. You're doing good.
Right. You don't just hire a douchebag to play a douchebag. You have to find somebody who can do that.
Yeah, at the right
So
times.
yeah, I mean, he did a great job for sure. And I agree
And
with you about the military, and I hadn't thought about it before either. But yeah, they're. I mean, it gets a little iffy with them just sort of driving around town trying to chase this guy at the end. But up until that point, I mean, they are very much. This is they're not just bumbling idiots. They're locked. They had that city locked down in hours
yeah,
in
well,
in
they had experience
1951.
from Roswell in 1947,
That
right?
was okay. Well, and also a lot of them were still World War II veterans, and they were all, I say veterans, but they had all served, they were there. I mean, it was only a few years later that we had been at war just a few years before. I mean, so I mean, they didn't get it, but I mean, they were being asked to get something awfully deep.
Yeah.
And the deal is they were reacting the way they needed to react to the obvious threat, which was Russians and
The robot.
communism, and they had no experience dealing with anything like that. So yeah, they're not necessarily going to get it right.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Well, and especially when you guys were putting it in perspective with the war and stuff. I kid about Roswell, but that happened in 1947.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie being in 51 kind of played into that whole, what are aliens and what would happen kind of thing, because it wasn't until
Because it was all just a product of
1969 that we actually got into space. So I think this was kind of the dabble with our space love, We hadn't quite gotten there yet, so we weren't quite sure, what was out there or how they would be or...
right. That's what I was going to say. Is this was all still just a product of science fiction at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This was
Yeah.
we hadn't started the space race.
Nope.
We hadn't. I mean, they had done some dabbling with rockets at the end of World War II, but that was more for a military use than anything else. They didn't have any idea about sticking a person at the top of that thing and firing it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was
Although
all
during the
brand
war,
new.
I'm sure they thought about it.
Well, there were certain people, sure, but
But yeah, so I think that was kind of cool too, that they did such a well job not knowing what we know now, and
right, which is part of why I'm thoroughly puzzled why they tried to remake this movie in, what was it, 98 or something like that, right? What am I? I'm off. I know I'm off
Yeah.
by years, but not that long ago they tried to remake
I don't
this
think
movie.
I've seen it.
2008, sorry. Oh yeah, yeah. You've now seen Klaatu. Yeah, imagine Keanu Reeves doing that. It's a
Well, I may have to see it.
It's a different movie.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. Trust me. Yeah.
That's like watching War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise.
Oh,
Please don't watch it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth watching. I believe I watched it a few years back, and it's not worth watching. I don't remember any of it, so if that tells you anything.
All right. Any final thoughts before we take a quick break?
Jesus, this is a good movie.
Yep.
It was. I would definitely recommend this one.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
All right. On that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for our weekly picks. I lead off this week. So for my first choice, I'm going for a book that's from the Comic Book Guys, and it's called Revenant: Zombies on a Train. And this is called a darkly funny revisitation of the comedy horror genre. And this is a story of two brothers who are also comic book store owners that are in the middle of a zombie uprising on a train, express train that's going from Belfast to Dublin. So, and they're trying to decide, well, do we stop the train and make the situation worse, or do we just tough it out? So this could be a pretty fun book.
See, I'd stop the train, get off, and then leave them on the train and let it go until it stops itself.
Well, the thing is, well, I mean, if the train stops, the zombies probably get off the station, and then all of a sudden you just made things worse.
Infected the world.
Yeah. Don't have to worry.
Yeah.
No sweat.
Yeah.
No biggie. No loss.
Throw a zombie from the train.
Nice. All right, since you made that comment, Les, you're next.
Oops.
No, you were next on the order anyway, so.
My first choice comes from Boom Studios. This is Inspectors number 3. The Spectre Inspectors are going deeper into the history of the most haunted town in America. And in this issue, they are locked in overnight at the museum. This has been a somewhat interesting story. You've got 4 main characters, and being locked into this museum is going to cause a bit of problem, because you've got an old house that kind of keeps its secrets, so it's going to not divulge much of anything to them. It's been a fun read, and I'm going to say step on up, try this one again.
Cool.
Nice.
All righty, Liz.
All right. For my first pick, it's from Aftershock Comics. This kind of reminds me of a Charmed story. It's called The Girls of Dimension 13. 4 girls instead of 3 like Charmed, but 4 girls are brought together. They're invited to come live in this like creepy mansion kind of thing. So they all get there. Well, then they find out that the portal to hell pretty much is in the basement. I don't think it's hell. I think it's like monster universes and all that other kind of stuff. So I think this is going to be kind of a finding out that they have powers so they can keep the portals at bay and Charmed, right? I'm sure they won't be witches, but it's kind of the same concept, So, seems pretty cool. I like Charm. I'm willing to give this one a shot, and yeah. I don't know. It depends on if they drag the story out and it's like 6 issues later that they finally get their powers. That'd be kind of...
That would be an interesting story. It might be a little more horror than action adventure, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a little of both.
cool.
So
kind
cool.
of Buffy-esque also.
Yeah, like a Buffy Charmed kind of thing.
Cool.
A Charmed Buffy.
And I'm taking it if this is going to be an ongoing, there'll be like a new demon come up from the portal every issue,
A monster of the week, one might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or month, depending how often
Well,
this is.
sure. I mean, metaphorically speaking, of course.
But it does appear to be ongoing, so.
Sweet.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you say what I thought you did, Thomas?
Oh, what?
Did you say something about magically delicious?
No, but you did.
Oh, okay. I knew it. I'd heard it somewhere.
No, I want Lucky Charms. Hey, Brandon.
It's too late at night to choke down an entire box of Lucky Charms.
On a side note, have you seen that they sell those marshmallows, just a whole bag and that's it?
Yep.
like, damn. When I was a kid, you had to fish for like 3 hours to get that done.
Separate them out, yeah.
Yeah.
By hand.
Yeah, by hand. And
Now
I was
they-
OCD enough that I'd sit there and do it.
Now they have people employed to do just that.
Right?
Spend 3 hours a box.
3 hours.
Just yet another reason to join our Discord right there, folks. That's where we learn these things. Don't let that stop you. Come join us.
Yeah, come join us.
One of us. One of us.
We have Lucky Charm marshmallows instead of cookies.
Because what we need is more sugar. Anyway.
I was going to say something, but I won't. Go ahead, Mike.
My turn. Somebody's got to put a stop to this. Anyway. My first pick is from Boom Studios, and I am picking The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, #1. I thought this sounded interesting because of the idea that humanity is right on the edge of discovering immortality. And so death itself comes to Earth in the form of a 20-something young woman in Mumbai. And the question is going to be, will death, while I guess in a way possessing this young woman, do what needs to be done to stop this discovery, or will other things happen along the way? And, I kind of think maybe a little A, little B. I don't know. Could be interesting. I think it'll be fun to find out, though.
Yeah,
For sure.
I agree.
definitely interesting. Yeah. All right. For my second choice, I'm going with another one of the Epic collections from Marvel Comics. And the subject matter of this one is X Factor, and it's called Angel of Death. This collects issues 21 through 36, Annual 3, and Power Pack issue 35. And amongst the creators of these particular stories as Louise and Walter Simonson.
Mm-hmm.
This is right around the Fall of the Mutants time, and where Angel becomes one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, known as Death. So, hence the name. The name of the title. So, and this is actually the time where Beast returns to his blue furry form and actually regains his intelligence. So, this was fun read. I was reading these books back
Back in
when
the
these
day.
were coming out. Yeah.
Yep.
It was fun. It was a fun read. So it would be nice to revisit that time period again.
I agree.
Yep.
Yep.
Alrighty, Les.
My second choice is White Lily #3 from Red 5. This is a book that is intended for mature audiences. Easy for me to say. This is about Lilia as a fighter pilot, and I think this is the last chapter. I think this is 3 of 3. And in this, her pilot career is over before it really begins, because she is shot down in Stalingrad. So to me, this is a tight story, and it gives a different view of the war. So I highly recommend this one too. Red 5 puts out some good titles, and this is one of them.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Alrighty, Liz.
All right. For my second pick, it is from Marvel, and it's a giant-sized issue called The Women of Marvel. Just a side note here, Women's Month was last month, So I think they kind of missed the marketing on this.
Maybe they just ended up dropping it a little late. Who knows?
Right. But it's a pretty cool concept. It's all female writers and artists, and they're going to spotlight some of the women. I think the first issue is X-Men and the Avengers. I'm not sure if they've done this before because they're calling this a program, so I don't know if this is something new that they're starting or if this is just another edition, but it's a number 1. But that ain't saying anything for one-shots. But anyways, if you know, let me know. But like I said, it seems pretty cool. There's a couple of new artists who are getting their breakout through this, so I hope it goes well. Plus, for someone like me, I'd kind of like to know about the women of Marvel. So I don't know a lot about them, so this might be something I would pick up, just find out who's who.
Awesome.
Yep. Oh, and
choice.
The way that they're reading this, it's a lot of short stories. It'll be 52 pages, though, so we're going to get quite a few covered. So.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Alrighty, Mike.
Alrighty, my second pick is from Dark Horse Comics. And I am picking, and I'm not entirely sure how this is pronounced, but it says it's Eastern European, so I'm going with Koyakaru the Skinner, number 1. This is it has a banner on it that says Tales from the Outerverse. So this is Hellboy adjacent. And it is a story of a witch slayer from many years past who's been dead for a long time, and a group of resistance soldiers who bring her back and attempt to get some help from her in fighting what they're fighting. These kinds of stories are often very interesting, even when, I mean, this is actually kind of headed up by well, I guess Mignola kind of shares the load with Christopher Golden these days. So they're kind of working together. So the stories can often have a very different flavor than what you're used to from Hellboy, but it's still they're generally set very much in that kind of world mindset thing. So these tend to be a very interesting kind of take often from a different angle on the way that world works, which is kind of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Any special shout-outs this week?
Not me.
No.
Nothing here.
Okay. We'll go ahead with our regular shout-outs. First off, Pop Goes the Culture podcast network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Definitely check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Podern Family on Twitter, who have been gracious enough to retweet our links and spread the word of the fellowship. The easiest way for you to examine their fine work is to do a search, #Podern Family, all one word. Scroll through, and whatever catches your attention, click on that link and please download the episode. And hope you have a blast listening. Thank you guys for your support as always. Want to thank Mandy the Martyr for supplying the music for our podcast. There will be a link in the show notes where you can check out their fine work. Some great music there. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, your listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We appreciate your support, and we value your feedback. Any comments, questions, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. There are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website. There is a contact form you can fill out. It's located on our About Us page. We've already talked about the Discord. Feel free to join us there. We do have a channel specifically for feedback of the show, or if you just want to message us directly, you can do that. You can contact us through social media. We are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. Obviously, we're on Twitter, @Fellowship Geeks. You can follow us there. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. Les may or may not be found @FakeLesWebster. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would be so kind as to rate and review our shows, it would be greatly appreciated. Any final things before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for the support as always, friends. We do appreciate it. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,